What's the big deal, about values? Why place such an emphasis on them? Well, I could kind of go on and on about that subject as far as my beliefs. I don't know what yours are. But I will tell you that our values direct what our behavior will be. I guess one of the surprising things to me is we bring people together, and again, these are great ethical leaders. They run fine organizations. They're part of the senior management team or part of the middle management, whatever the case might be. But one of the things that really surprises me is very few people have ever sat down and written down what their values are. And that's the number one thing. The second thing is that it surprises me that they've never thought about how does a value look in everyday life. That is, my set of values as I speak them, how do they look in everyday life? And so few people have really thought about that. And yet it is the idea of values, that is, values, in my judgment, are the foundation of everything we do. They govern how we act. And when faced with difficult situations, what we must rely on is what our values are. I was really struck by an article that I read in Fortune magazine back, I think it was in 2002, just at the time when we were faced with a lot of failures in American business, ethical failures, legal failures, and as a result of them, a crumbling of companies that were just disastrous, not only to the people that were involved, the customers and the associates that were working in these organizations, but the whole country was impacted by them. The whole stock market was impacted by them. And in that article in Fortune, there was a little piece there that really caught my attention, and what happened was they put together a matrix of like the 10 companies that had the greatest problems as far as ethical and legal decisions that were made, and to try to find what was the commonality. What did they see in these organizations that caused them to go the way they went? And a little sentence in there once again caught my attention, and it was an incremental descent into bad judgment until the violation of standards became the standard. I don't think they started out to do things wrong or to do things bad or to harm people or to harm our country or to harm business practices. I just think it started out as a simple act that was on the bubble that they got away with, and then they continued to push the bubble farther. It wasn't, a predetermined decision to do bad stuff. But bottom line was, it was a slippery slope. And once they made that one judgment that was in violation of a virtuous value, that the stumbling continued and they kept pushing the envelope. Let me tell you how I look at values. In many respects, values are like fences that are around our judgments. And one of the things I appreciate about Walmart, our values were clearly defined. And it was well known that you don't step outside of those fences. And so when you're in the decision-making process, you had a framework for making your decisions. And I think as leaders, it's so incredibly important that we provide a framework, guideline, not rules. You can never write enough rules, to tell people how to operate in all sorts of circumstances. The circumstances may be different. The intricacies may be different. But I will tell you, you can give guidelines. And the guidelines, again, in my mind, are those fences that says, don't step over there. And I think what we as leaders must do, we must have those firmly implanted in our mind so that every time we're faced with a tough decision, although some of the decisions may be easy, when we're faced with those decisions, that we are guided by something that really, in many respects, is bigger than us. Another thing I notice in talking to leaders is that after we talk about them for a while and they maybe write their values down, and then we ask the question, hey, let's look at how we actually act. And many times we find that our actions don't necessarily represent what we say our values are. You know, the interesting thing is when you talk about values, almost everybody puts integrity at the top. Well, how does integrity look? You know, what about this gray area? And I think what's happened is the world around us has made the gray areas extremely large, instead of looking to, there are things that are absolutes. And again, I think as leaders, we have an obligation to our people to help guide them in the right way.